Yeah, hey, Blind Guy Doing Stuff, and today we're going to do a video on immigration. And specifically, we're going to talk about three things that we can do besides build a wall down on the Mexican border. Yeah, it's been a couple days since I did a video, kind of take a break. Things get a little overwhelming with the new Trump administration as far as what topics to choose and talk about because there's so many, and I don't want to waste our time just going off about random things. So I think something going on important right now is the um, immigration, and it's we have a we're not going to talk about the ban necessarily, but I want to talk about the wall. So what are three things we can do besides build a wall on the Mexican border to stem back our immigration supposed problem in Mexico? And we do have a problem, but I don't think it's what the Trumpistas think it is. It's mainly a humanitarian problem where we have people fleeing violence coming here. And so we have a crisis of poverty and a crisis of all the things that go along with refugees, but it's not a crisis of crime and it's not a crisis of um, refugees and immigrants turning our cities into these horrible places. It's just not the case. You can come here to Tacoma. We have a very large immigrant population here in the Northwest, and that there's no problem. Okay, they're just regular people like everybody else. So one of the first things we can do to fix the border problem, and instead of building a wall, and this is the big one, is end the drug war. Now this will accomplish a lot of different things. First of all, it will demilitarize the border. You won't have gangs of people trying to bring in drugs, which is a lot of money involved in drugs. That's why they do it. So if we end the drug war and we take all the profit out of sending drugs here, I mean, you already see it with the cannabis. I mean, there are reports that the Mexican cartels are having trouble selling cannabis in the United States anymore, and that's rumor things I've read here and there saying that's why we're having a big heroin problem because they switched over to heroin instead of cannabis because they can't make any money off cannabis anymore because it's going to be hard for some Mexican brick cannabis to compete with homegrown United States cannabis. So that has been taken care of and is having an effect. So if we end the drug war on all the other drugs, decriminalize them, and I would even go so far as to say is to legalize drugs and provide them to addicts. I know that's sort of a way out there statement, and frankly, I'm just sort of evolving to this position. But that is probably the best thing we can do. And once we end the drug war, it also demilitarize Central and South America. There is a huge problem in Central America of a literal drug war going on, drug gangs fighting each other, the government fighting them, and the people being caught in the middle. So if you're living in your town and it's being overrun by drug lords and it's being overrun by military trying to fight those people, and you just live in this horrible place, you're going to leave town. Some people are going to leave town, not all people, but some people are just built that way. They're going to say, I'm out of here. So that's why they're coming here, because we are creating refugees by the things we are doing in South America because of the drug war, and because of petroleum, and because of fruit, the famous fruit dole case back whenever it was, where they're totally destroying South America. And then we have in the 80s where they're overthrowing elected leaders in South America. So we can just stop meddling in South America, but ending the drug war would go a long way to do that. And you know, everybody knows the drug war is a failure. Just look around. Everybody knows an addict. Everybody knows somebody who's been affected by this. The drug war is a failure. It's time to end it. And if we did, it would go a long way to curbing the flow of refugees and immigrants to the United States, because they would rather stay at home because there's not all the violence going on. So they'll stay at their home. Um, the next one is, instead of spending $12 billion on a wall and destroying the ecosystems along the border and alienating our ally Mexico and wasting all that money on a wall, either people's going to dig a tunnel over it, or they're going to climb over the wall, or they're going to find another way in. And instead of spending that $12 it's going to be more than $12 billion. It always is more. But instead of spending that money on there, how about we work with Mexico and do a giant stimulus package in Mexico and in Central America, and instead of people wanting to come here because and then renegotiate NAFTA, which Mr. Trump does want to do that. So but not to favor the United States over Mexico. Let's renegotiate NAFTA to refavor everybody and because a lot of farmers in Mexico were hurt by NAFTA. So let's renegotiate NAFTA and do a stimulus package with Mexico and Central America, so that people don't want to come to the United States, because you're not going to want to move if you could stay in your home. I mean, like myself, like I am from Alabama, and if I could live there and make a living and provide for myself, I probably would still be there, but I couldn't, so I had to leave. Now that's the same way in Central and South America, Central America, Mexico. If you can stay in your home, if you can stay where you live, around your family, you are going to more than likely stay there. So let's make conditions in Mexico and Central America better, so that people don't want to come here to begin with. Now, you are still going to get people who say, hey, I want to come to the United States. And I frankly think that people in Mexico, Canada, and Central America, we have a very special relationship, different than the rest of the world. So what we need to do is we need to clean up our immigration system from these areas, just those areas, Canada, Mexico, and Central America, because we are neighbors. And people have been traveling back and forth across the Mexican border and across the Canadian border for centuries. Namely Native American tribes, but later on trappers and cowboys and all that stuff. But people have been going back and forth across this border for tens of thousands of years. So let's set up a system, a legal system, where people can continue to do that. They don't have to sneak in. You can just show up on the Mexican border and get a visa and say, hey, I want to go to the United States and pick fruit for the next 6 months. Give me a visa and then I'll be back on this date. Now, if you set up a legal process, of course you have to have consequences. If you say, okay, here's a visa, you got to be back in a year to check back in here, and then that person's not back in a year, then you need to issue a warrant for an arrest, or find that, not necessarily go hunt that person down, but if you find the person and the ID matches, then we would have to figure out a way to enforce our visa, because that is a big problem we have right now with people overstaying their visas. So, and that's not just from Mexico, that's from all over the world. People come here and then cheat and overstay their visa. So if we could set up a better system to keep track of that, and a better system for people to come in and out of the country legally, where you wouldn't have to wait 10 years, you wouldn't have to have money to get through the process, then we would have less illegal immigration. We don't have illegal aliens, and we don't have illegal Mexicans. We have illegal immigration, because, as we all know, a person can't be illegal. Now, the person immigrating without proper papers, that could be termed as illegal, but the person themselves is not illegal. So you can't say they're an illegal alien, because how can a person be illegal? So that is 3 ways that we can get that we can secure our border and make our immigration system with Mexico better without a wall. So number 1, end the drug war. Number 2, make Mexico and Central America better by working with them in an economic stimulus. So keep those people, renegotiate our trade so farmers don't need to leave Mexico. And the last one would be to improve the immigration system we have right now. So we don't need a wall. A wall is just like the easiest, dumbest way you can try to fix something, which is, sorry to insult anybody here, but it's why the Republicans are for that. It plays to the lowest common denominator. It takes the least amount of thought to get it done. And that's why, because people say that the wall is Trump's idea. Oh, no, this wall thing has been around for so many years. I used to listen to Sean Hannity and watch some Fox News. They have been talking about this wall forever. So Trump didn't come up with the wall. This is not a new thing. Trump just wants to build a wall so he can He thinks he's going to have the big Trump wall of Texas, kind of like the Great Wall of China. So that's why Trump wants to do the wall, so to have his name on across the side of it. But I would encourage everybody interested in this wall to go watch a movie on YouTube called "You've Been Trumped," and you'll see what kind of wall this guy is going to build. It's not like a wall here in my house here, or a wall in your front yard. A Trump wall, and this is what he did to some Scottish families up there. A Trump wall, he gets the bulldozers and he builds up these huge mounds of wall. It's like a wall of dirt. So that's going to be a Trump wall. So can you imagine down there in the, if you ever been to New Mexico or you ever been to Arizona, in the desert, in the mountains down there, what they're going to do to build one of these walls is come in with the bulldozer and start pushing stuff up into big piles and building these walls. That's what they're going to do. They're not going to go out there and build some studs and a hammer and pour some foundations and build a wall. They're going to come down there and destroy the land and totally destroy this area of the world to build a wall for Trump, and to build a wall for all the Trump supporters that they can't think past, oh yeah, I want to keep my dogs out of my neighbor's yard, out of my yard. I'm gonna build a wall. I mean, it's to the lowest common denominator. And if you're a Trump supporter and I'm talking to you and you're hearing that, then I'm sorry, it is the case. But we want to move past the wall and try to think better ways to do this. And the three things that I did mention are all big challenges, and they're all going to be difficult to do. But frankly, if you think about the time and energy and what it takes to build a wall on the southern border, they won't take much more effort than that. It might be even less effort, probably less money. So I am the blind guy doing stuff. Please share the video if you find it interesting. 3 ways that we can fix immigration without a wall. And hit subscribe, and hope you have a good day and have a good one. Bye-bye.
Studio mode. Stop recording button.